is in everyone's interest to be confident that the drugs and natural remedies we buy over the counter are safe to consume and the claims on the labels are true. The federal government regulates the pharmaceutical and natural health product industry. A new bill, Bill C-51, proposes some changes to the current rules. Lawyer Shawn Buckley has some concerns about the amendments. He is the president of the Natural Health Products Protection Association, and it is my pleasure to welcome Shawn Buckley to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Nice to see you. Bill C-51 came down when?
It was introduced by the Minister of Health on April 8th. So it's a very new bill, and it went through first reading, and it's still in the process of getting through second reading.
And this is all federal?
This is all federal.
All at the federal level. Okay, so it proposes essentially, and I know we don't have time to go through the entire bill, but...
Well, what it does is it introduces a wide range of powers for inspectors. So, for example, the bill's getting a lot of attention, but one thing that's not getting a lot of attention is a Health Canada inspector could now walk into, for example, a homeopathic doctor's office and say, listen, I know you, Mr. Homeopathic Doctor, are successfully treating 100 patients or more with a certain treatment, but I'm directing you to stop. The inspector actually has the power now to direct anyone to stop doing anything. And they're giving these people that are not trained in medical things the power to make health decisions. They can walk into a health food store and say, you take that product off the shelf, even if people rely on it. They can go to a manufacturer and say, you stop making this product and providing it, even if it's a product that people rely on for very essential health concerns. And so one thing that we're very concerned about is it's moving the power to make health decisions into basically the police's hands.
So who has the power to make these decisions now, without the amendments in C-51? Who can walk into a health food store, a supermarket, a drugstore and say, that product is tampered with, that product is not pure garlic, that product has a claim on the label about depression, it's not true? Who can do that now?
Well, right now an inspector can't do it. So if an inspector finds there's a problem, the inspector will ask the manufacturer store to comply, and 99 times out of 100 that happens. If that's not going to work, then the inspector has to go to federal court and apply for an injunction. Okay, that's one of the things that can happen. Or right now the minister can make a temporary order, which basically is law for a limited 21 days, which gives them time to sort out what to do. So that's what's interesting about this, is they have a lot of power now, except now there are procedural safeguards to protect us, with regards to our property rights.
So there's more checks and balances now.
There's checks and balances. There's a balancing. So the government has the authority now to protect us if there's a crisis. Right. But at the same time, if they're wrong, the property owner is protected. And our Constitution is still adhered to. But the changes now, I mean, it really reads almost like a police state manual.
As Health Canada points out, as you know, and the federal government points out, the medical experts say changes will not have a major impact on the natural health products. That's what they say, that it's more geared to drugs.
Well,
obviously you're not believing that.
Well, no, because let's put it in context. I mean, we had Health Canada all of a sudden, after leaving natural health products alone for decades and not worrying about them, viciously attack them in the mid-90s. Consumers rebelled and forced the federal government to basically say, okay, we're going to regulate them differently. We're not going to treat them as drugs. And so Health Canada came out with these new regulations in response to consumer movement. And the new regulations, now you have to get this pre-approval. So the whole industry is waiting to see if they're legal or not. If you walk into a health food store and you looked all around, all of these products, maybe 2-3% will have licenses and are legal. Every other product Health Canada is leaving alone because the license application is there waiting. And so the whole industry is waiting for Health Canada to decide, are you legal, are you illegal? What's scary is that the license applications they've processed, roughly 55% have failed. So if you extrapolate, for the rest of the products, we're going to have the majority of them forced off the market. Now, Health Canada is currently going from university to university recruiting new enforcement officers because they see a need for more enforcement at the time they're declaring our industry illegal. And then Bill C-51 comes down. They don't have to go to court for a warrant to seize your product now. They can just march in and seize it. And curiously, there doesn't have to be a safety concern. They don't have to have any reason to seize your product. So even if they thought, you had like a minor labeling violation or something, they could just shut you down, seize your stock, seize your factory, seize your store, and take your everything away and charge you the cost of them seizing and storing it.
So a minor labeling infraction could be if you take an essential fatty acid, it may lengthen your life? Is that, there are claims on some, they say good for eyesight.
Oh, sure
good
there are,
for,
yes.
Right, and 5,000 years of Chinese medicine may prove that that's true.
Well,
is it about more double-blind studies? Is it that sophisticated?
Well, this is what's frustrating about it. There are no guidelines for them to have to adhere to seize. So, for example, if we looked at the existing act, they had a limited power to seize if they believed an offense was taking place, and even that was declared unconstitutional by the federal court in 1987. They said, no, this still is too general and doesn't adhere to our charter protection. So now they have to go to court and ask for a warrant if they want to seize.
Okay.
And so the court will balance, okay, the risk presented by Health Canada and the risk presented by the manufacturer, and do a balancing. So there's a protection. You've got an independent court making those decisions.
Someone cheekily said that more could affect you eating peanut butter than it could some of these garlic supplements.
Well,
they were I don't know if they were joking, but they said the government should spend more time looking at peanut butter than it should at the garlic supplement. But it seems, I don't know, what is the government trying to do?
Well,
Simplify?
first
give
of
the
all,
civil service more power? What?
Let me
your
just
opinion.
follow up on your point, because that's actually an example I use. When the Standing Committee of Health looked at this in the late 90s, like literally hundreds of Canadians and experts testified in front of them. And if you read their report on natural health products and how to regulate them, they say, it was made clear to us by many presenters there's never been a death in Canadian history caused by a natural health product. Not one. But peanut butter causes deaths every year. So it sounds funny, but from a taxpayer perspective, if we created a national peanut butter directorate, we might actually save lives. But what we're doing is we're driving natural health products off the market that people are relying on for health concerns. And that risk isn't being balanced right now.
The small suppliers, I assume, are really concerned about this. I would think. If you raise organic ginseng and it's a great product and you're trying to get it to market and you're trying to get it into a store and you have to jump through all the hoops, A, it's expensive, but B, it sounds to me like there's new players who could come in and say, no, you have to do a lot more research, a lot more this, a lot more that.
This is it's funny, yesterday I was listening to Michelle Brill-Edwards had done a lecture. She's a former Health Canada drug approval doctor.
Yes.
And she was saying, look, we are imposing regulations on the natural health industry that really are just paper requirements that are going to drive small and medium manufacturers out of business. But if we, Health Canada, was actually concerned about safety, well, we'd test the odd product. We would do things like that. We really just have a smoke and mirror shell game here where we're imposing paper requirements and assuming that Health Canada is being told the truth. But it's not making anyone safe, and we weren't unsafe before.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Well, just before the regulations, the Act itself prevents against fraud. It prevents against adulteration. So these things that are raised to justify regulations that are pushing most of the industry under because they can't comply, they're already provided for in the Act.
What is being done by your organization to fight this?
Basically, our organization, the Natural Health Products Protection Association, where our expertise lies is in, let's say to use Bill C-51 as an example, we were the first ones to look at it, prepare a discussion paper to alert people as to what the problems are. Because my experience as a lawyer is acting for manufacturers of natural health products that Health Canada is going after and attacking. So I've got a unique ability or